And today I'm here with Rhys Trenhaile from the Vanguard Team at Manor Realty, and we're going to be talking all about Windsor, Ontario. We haven't talked about Windsor for a long time, so I'm genuinely curious about what's been going on there.
I hate to even say this, but it's a pretty boring market. It's been flatlining on price, which is not a bad thing from an investor standpoint. Is you're able to buy a home like that in a nice established neighborhood. This is out in the East End, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Old Riverside. Great neighborhood. 369 grand. Projected rent 24,000 a year, right? And that's once you put about 30 grand into the basement to create the additional dwelling unit. And then this is just more of a turnkey. So you don't want to do any work. Asking price is 330. And this is the current rent. You don't need to change a darn thing. It's already rented.
Oh, nice.
Right? So these are like good, safe investments. That's easy peasy, guys. You can pop those like popcorn all day with us.
Welcome back to the Canadian Real Estate Channel. I'm Adam J.D. Martin, your host, and today I'm here with Rhys Trenhaile from the Vanguard Team at Manor Realty, and we're going to be talking all about Windsor, Ontario. We haven't talked about Windsor for a long time, so I'm genuinely curious about what's been going on there. And in today's video, Rhys and I jump into a bunch of different stats on Windsor. We talk a lot about the Canada-US border and how things are going on with tariffs right now. And then, more interestingly, we look at some lead measures to see where we think about where Windsor's going to go in the next few years. So hope you guys stick around for the whole video. Rhys, welcome back to the channel.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's good to be back. Yeah, we focused for a while on our own YouTube channel. Just hit 100,000 views like literally 2 days ago.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, but hindsight's 2020. We always had a great time on this channel, and quite frankly, it beautifully goes together like peanut butter and jelly with what we're doing. So it was good to come back and sort of cross promote, let everybody know on our channel you guys exist, and vice versa, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's great. I'm genuinely interested to see what's been going on in Windsor. We've been doing market updates all across southwestern Ontario. The stats have been very interesting in some other markets, so I'm absolutely and genuinely curious to see what's going on in Windsor. And I know I'm going to have a lot of questions because I haven't looked at those stats in quite a while. So let's jump right on in.
Let's do it, man. Yeah, so we are the Vanguard team down in Windsor, Ontario. Our team, 8 agents, including me, and all 7 of them are very active in their own respective investment niches. So and they also will invest as landlords in those niches as well, so that they know both sides of the coin. They're not just selling them; they're giving you the information they use themselves as investors. Yeah, there's our little headshot and everything, but there's our YouTube channel. So if you guys want to just pause that screen and subscribe to our channel if you have further interest in Windsor, Essex, we provide really good content and in-detail content. For the purposes of this channel, we're just going to quickly summarize what's been going on basically for the first half of the year now, right? What you're going to find is that it's a, I hate to even say this, but it's a pretty boring market. It's been flatlining on price, right? Which is not a bad thing from an investor standpoint, right?
Yeah.
We all know sort of since Confederation in 1867, it's a straight line, man. It's 5% a year property appreciation. So if you have a couple of years where there's no appreciation, you can expect it later. It'll catch back up to that line. And it has for 150 years. So you are sort of at, and I hate average, I use median. And for median, basically, guys, if 100 houses sell, what did the 50th house sell for, right? And that way the numbers don't get skewed. So we're basically hovering around $500,000 per property. And also good for the investors is our inventory is now up to about 8 months of inventory, which is fantastic. Again, for investors buying. Investors selling,
yeah,
this doesn't affect you too much, because if you're selling at a 6% cap rate, or you're going to sell. It doesn't matter that the market has slowed down, right? It's a good market for investment. And I'll get into some examples too, Adam, as I go. I've got a few income properties to quickly look at the end. You can see too, interestingly enough, sales to list price ratio.
Yep.
It's basically around the asking price. We're seeing some multiple offer situations, and that's enough, I think, to keep this number up around the sales to list price ratio. And you'll see here year over year, guys, the dark purple is 2024, and the yellow is 2025, number of sales per month. And what you'll find is you can see the flatlining from the last year, and I can assure you it continued to flatline last year. And what you're seeing more here is a steady rise over time. And I can tell you right now, June was busier than May, and July is going to be busier. And I'll get into how we know this. We have lead measures that tell us what's coming before it happens, right? You don't want all lag measures. You're looking at lag measures right now on the screen, guys.
Yeah.
January already happened. 2024 already happened. These are lag measures. To make real money in real estate investment, you really need to understand what the lead measures are, right? And those aren't easy to get. They're easier for us because we're in this market. A lot harder for the out-of-town investor to get that information unless they're working with people like us that eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff.
Absolutely. I would agree with that wholeheartedly, by the way. It's actually really difficult to get Windsor stats if you're not in Windsor or know a great, if you don't have a great power team in Windsor. It was always very difficult for us to pull stats there. Yeah. So that could not be like understated. You really need somebody in Windsor if you're considering investing in Windsor.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not from the city and you say, I'm going to invest in Windsor, I'm going to watch a couple of YouTube videos, I did my research, I got a PhD from Facebook in Windsor, like, you're going to get killed.
Yeah, like legitimately, Windsor's one of those markets where I fundamentally think you need a power team located in Windsor.
Yeah. Part of the reason for it is half of our income property sales never hit the MLS.
Yes.
How are you going to get those, smart guy?
Yeah.
You're not. Anyway, guys, average price, again, just consider this a straight line for 2 years. It's a straight line. Yeah, it's got some ups and downs. Straight line. Just take your ruler right through the middle. It's a straight line. So with prices stagnating, that's not a bad thing from an investor standpoint, right? Especially if you're playing the long-term play.
Yeah.
This is not a bad thing. This gives you opportunity to buy while the market's taking a breather before it takes off again. Because I'm sorry, but there's a macroeconomic rule that dominates everything else. We don't have enough houses. We don't have enough apartments, right? In the last 2 years, Windsor added 72,000 people filling jobs, right? Well, you'll read in the paper too is, Windsor's got a high unemployment rate. Yes, we always do. It doesn't matter if it's good times or bad times. It's because we're one of the 6 cities in Canada where all the international immigrants come.
Yeah.
And when they first land, they don't just walk into a job on a Tuesday, right? They become an unemployment statistic until their job, they get their PR papers or what. So Windsor's always high on unemployment. It's not about unemployment. It's how long you're unemployed for, right? Which you'll find shockingly in Windsor is a very short period of time. And then number 2, how many people are employed? And in the history of Windsor, we're starting to approach 300,000 people employed down here.
Wow. I would not have guessed that. That's an incredible number.
It's crazy, man. It's gone up by over, I think, 50 or 60,000 people in just the last 5 or 6 years. It's nuts. And yet, what does the national paper post? Windsor and, I don't know, Peterborough got the highest unemployment rates. It's like, that's not the story, man.
Bringing 70,000 people in is like a really big number too, because I guarantee you Windsor built like 5 houses for those 70,000 people.
Yeah, we didn't do too badly, but yeah, we built, I think it was just under 10,000 homes last year.
I mean, honestly, that's even impressive. That's like an impressive stat.
We were pretty close. We were pretty close to the Dougie Ford provincial goal last year. The year before we weren't, but last year we were. I don't know how we're going to do it this year. Like we're much like the rest of the province where like all condo developments down here are on hold. All of them.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of developers down here that do what I do as a developer, which is build apartments. right? So I'm focused heavily in the downtown core with my investment team on that stuff. So really quickly, with residential units sold, I just want to point out that the Windsor market is heavily concentrated between, look at where the bump starts with 54 sales. That's starting at 300 grand. And what you can see is the numbers fall off a cliff after 700 grand, right? So you've got a lot of people buying between 300,000 and 700,000 over and over and over again in this city. It's a real cluster, right? Okay, I want to get into where Windsor's going. So now you guys have looked at all the lag measures. You've looked at what's already happened in the past. Let's get into lead measures, because if you're able to basically know where a city's going, you're able to invest much more accurately, right? So we see the same news as everybody else. Oh, Toronto, their condos are down 25%, blah, blah, blah. We don't have that problem. We still have the same problem that was in the news for Canada 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. We don't have enough housing.
Yeah.
Right? We just don't. We've gone from 420,000 to 490,000 people in a blink of an eye, and we just don't have enough housing. And that's not going to abate anytime soon. We are now seeing the market starting to pick up again. And we know there's a series of indicators, some of which we control locally, some of which we don't. But I think everybody saw that America and Canada have now committed to getting a trade deal and security deal done in the next 30 days.
Right.
So what that does, guys, it doesn't matter. Let's say there's still 15% tariffs baked into the whole thing, right? You go, oh, that's bad. Yeah, it is. But it's not as bad as what we have right now, which is market uncertainty.
Yeah.
Nobody can move forward unless the parameters are defined.
Yeah,
right?
I fully agree with that. You have to know exactly what the consequences are to make any significant business decision. You can't be in this purgatory. Purgatory is the worst.
I actually don't have this in my presentation, but really quickly, the Financial Office of Ontario and the Bank of Canada, their economists at both of those entities have both said the same thing. Even if the tariffs are across the board on Canada, 25%, GDP that first year will go down about 2.5%.
Yeah.
The second year it'll go down about 1.5%. By the third year, Canada's economy has adjusted to the tariffs completely, and there's no more effect on GDP growth. Okay?
Yeah.
That's survivable. I don't know if you're old enough for this, Adam. I went through the global meltdown as an investor and as a real estate agent. With 2.5% GDP drop, I'll take that all day.
Sure.
Right? Just give me market certainty.
Yeah. Yeah, at least something you can predict, right? Like just knowing what the future looks like is way better.
So we have all these condo projects that are on hold. As soon as you give them market certainty and they know how much their steel costs to build those buildings, we'll start building again. The tool and die and tool and mold shops. We are the world's center for tool, die, and mold innovation and manufacturing. We do 37% of North America. We make 37% of North America's tools, dies, molds. Yeah, and then we do like 20% of all the car parts. It's just it's Windsor, baby. So just those shops alone, they really need to expand. And I'm doing a bad job of explaining this as the underpinning theme, but Windsor entered its second golden age about 2 years ago. It's just starting. And you go, what was the first golden age? Well, mass production, right? Mass production. The first mass production factory ever was Henry Ford in Detroit, 1904. The second mass production plant ever, so modern manufacturing, which the rest of the world copied. The second plant ever was built less than 2 years later, about 500 meters that way.
Love it.
In Ford City, which is now part of Windsor, Ontario. It's called Ford City. That was the first time we contributed heavily to an economic expansion and an economic golden age right across the globe. Now it's more nuanced. The rest of the globe is caught up, and there's greater wealth development and economic activity across the globe. So no single area like this is going to dominate anymore. This is now the fourth industrial revolution going on. There are 12 pillars, 12 centers to that economic explosion and that economic golden age coming up for the next 50 to 60 years. 2 of those 12 pillars are Windsor and Detroit. Okay? Windsor's by far the smallest city of those 12 pillars. We're getting research and development facilities of 100,000 square feet with 650 engineers and PhDs. We're about to build the biggest battery plant in North America. When it's done in the fall, it creates more battery capacity than the entire United States, including that Elon Musk guy, combined. That's how big this stuff is. And they're not just doing batteries for cars. People screw that up all the time. There's a reason why it's not just a Stellantis battery plant. It's LG Stellantis. What's LG? They're the biggest non-Chinese battery manufacturer in the world. They're number 3. And it's dominated by Chinese companies. And guess what? Chinese companies don't travel well.
Yeah.
They stay in China. So we have the biggest international battery manufacturer in the world making their biggest plant in North America in Windsor. And you can look this up, guys. Do a quick Google search for The Economist magazine and look up battery storage. And what you'll see, what the headlines that'll pop up are the next $1 trillion green tech industry is creating batteries to store the energy coming from the solar panels overnight to redistribute into the battery grid. And that's happening right across the globe. And these are going to be made in Windsor, guys. You don't think it's a good place to invest as a landlord? Because it doesn't stop there. Batteries are fragile. So now your whole network, it's 3 tiers, tier 2, tier 1, and then the original equipment manufacturer. That all stays local because of the fragility of the stuff you're manufacturing. So you can see at the bottom of this bullet point is 1,149 skilled jobs at a Taiwanese factory. They announced that factory in the heat of the tariff war. 3 months into the tariff war, the Taiwanese factory says, yeah, we're coming. Right? This isn't stopping, guys. Right? 1,149 skilled labor jobs at a new factory 10 years ago, Windsor's mind would have been blown. We would have been like,
Oh, absolutely.
That's insane. Now it's like, oh, look, hey, guys, look, it's another one. Isn't that nice? Oh, isn't that cute? Look, hey, it's new. Hey, hi, Taiwan. Hey, welcome to Windsor. Because we're getting these announcements all the time. Right? So this is just the latest one. And this is just tier 1. Wait till the tier 2s all start coming to Windsor, which is an even bigger group of companies and has even more employees than the tier 1 level. And even the battery plant. Battery plant's going to have, I think, about 6,200 people. But the trickle down effect into the tier 1 and tier 2s are much greater. It's an 8-to-1 ratio in sum total. So if you got 6,000 jobs at a battery plant, you got another 48,000 jobs coming in the tier 1 and tier 2.
Right.
And people don't get this, man. So anyway, really quickly, pre-approvals, the second one down. That's a great, easy lead measure for us. We talk to the mortgage specialists, the top ones, and they tell us if they're starting to get really busy doing pre-approvals for mortgages. Because if they are, then we get busy, right? Oh, and then the Stellantis plant, which is the sort of old Chrysler plant under a new name where we do the Dodge Caravans and the Dodge Chargers, they scaled back, and now they're back to 2 full shifts ahead of schedule, which is telling us that there's market demand that's ramping up that they can see, and so they're jumping back into 2 full shifts. And then it'll go back to 3 shifts, I think, once there's a tariff deal and everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go. So Windsor Assembly returning to full production schedule in the news. This is from the province of Ontario's website, but Invest Ontario supports project of $300 million to create over 1,000 new jobs. That's the Taiwanese factory.
Yeah,
and
that's such a major investment. Like every single one you're bringing up is such a massive investment in such a small city. I mean, Windsor's a big city, but it's really not a big city.
No.
Like, to just talk about $300 million just entering a relatively small market is just so wild.
Wow. So there's another
just like a Tuesday.
There's another $6 to $7 billion in announcements for Windsor that are on hold because of these tariffs.
Right.
They haven't gone anywhere else. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
that's an interesting point too, right? It's not as if they just go somewhere else during those periods of uncertainty. Like it's just such a massive strategic decision that it's better off for these places to just wait and see what's going to happen.
everybody's waiting for a deal. And
Yeah.
then once the deal's in place, they know that the current administration in the United States only has, I think, 3.5 years left,
Yeah, a few more
four
years.
and a half.
Yeah.
So they got a little bit left, but
Yeah.
they'll time the market, so to speak. You know what I mean? But as
Yeah,
long as
sure,
there's
of
a deal
course.
in place, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Um, and guys, I'm saying that with completely apolitically. This is just a pragmatic sort of
Yeah.
approach to business.
Yep.
We need a deal.
Need a
Pure and
deal.
simple. We need that certainty. So the other thing that the rest of the out of town investors have to understand about Windsor is the Windsor mentality. And I say
Yep.
this with all due respect to the rest of the country. But if you're going to start a zombie apocalypse, the last city on the planet you would start it is Windsor and Detroit, because it wouldn't go anywhere. We'd be barbecuing those suckers up before they'd have a chance. Not like, but you just wouldn't. And what I'm speaking to jokingly is the resiliency of the people. So
Yeah.
when you guys feel the disaster du jour from the United States, you only feel it. The rest of Canada only feels it once every 10, 15 years. Oh, we got a tariff war. That affects me personally, right? 9/11 didn't affect you personally. 9/11, you went, oh, those poor Americans, will pray for them. That's horrible, right? Windsor went, whoa, they shut down the border. How the hell are we going to get our trucks across,
Yeah.
right? The average part that goes into a car goes across the border 6 times. They shut down the border. How the hell are we going to get the trucks across, right? When you guys see like the trucking convoy politics stuff that happened where they're in front of the houses of parliament. Oh, what a ruckus. They keep honking their horns. Shake my fist. Us, they blocked the border,
Yeah.
right? And by the way, funnily enough, it was mostly modern Mennonites from Leamington.
Hey, let's go.
They were blocking the border. I swear to God, because
That's
my
amazing.
clients from Leamington were saying, I recognize every customized truck.
No way.
They're all yeah. So then I started
That's
talking to
awesome.
my buddies that are cops, and like, yeah, man, they're not even. This blockade is not even from Windsor. There's
Right.
some Americans that snuck over and a bunch of people from the county. Oh yeah, but I mean that cost over $450 million in wages.
Yeah,
Forget about losses to the corporations.
sure.
Local wages that cost us $455 million in Windsor and Detroit combined. So you guys don't feel the news the same way we feel it, right? Canadian money at par with American money. I think that was George W. Bush. You guys go, oh, I can go to Costco and in Buffalo and get a good deal.
Yeah.
Us, we're an exporting city.
Yeah.
We can't make
Not
money
good.
under a 1.2 ratio between the American and Canadian dollar. Now what do you do?
Yeah.
Canadian money's at par. These are crises that we feel every 3 to 5 years down here.
Yeah.
So when you guys go, oh my God, tariffs, we go, and our mayor said this, it's a blip. I literally had,
That's
uh,
interesting.
I had Steve Girouge, who's my teammate. He's the number one agent in Windsor for 2-unit to 6-unit multifamily. And I can assure you, Steve does not read the news. And we're doing a video, and he says, oh, the tariffs, yeah, oh, it's just a blip we got to get through. And I'm like, did you know the mayor called it a blip too? He goes, no. Yeah. But that's the Windsor attitude. The Windsor attitude is, okay, this is the next thing we have to deal with, right? So you're going to find that you have a very resilient city that's not going to react overly emotionally to the tariffs. We just want a deal so we can move. What's the deal? What's the deal so we can
Yeah.
move on, right? And you'll see that with the industry here. Where we see the slowdowns are we have buyers that are waiting to see what happens, and we've got tool and die, tool and mold factories, etc., that need to expand to match demand. They have to build more outbuildings and expand their facilities. They're all waiting. So a lot of industrial construction was put on hold. And then, yeah, the new announcements were put on hold, which is $6 to $7 billion worth for the area. And
That's amazing.
6 to 7 billion, 6 to 7 billion, that'd be a lot for Toronto.
Yes.
We're 1/10 the size, right?
Yes.
Like it's nuts down here right now, man. You want me to
Yeah.
go through a couple of properties really quickly,
Yeah,
opportunities?
please do. I'd love to see what is on the market, what we consider good deals right
Sure.
now. Yeah.
So we got one guy on the team that does all of our additional dwelling unit opportunities, Jason Balsdon. And so what he does searches different ways, and then obviously we have a lot of our own clients come to us, and this is an example right now, right? Is you're able to buy a home like that in a nice established neighborhood. This is out in the East End, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Old Riverside. Great neighborhood. 369 grand. Projected rent 24,000 a year, right? And that's once you put about 30 grand into the basement to create the additional dwelling unit. Like I can't, you know, I can't beat that. Now the 24,000 I think that's the gross. So your net would still be about 1,000 to 1,250 a month, and that's pretty consistent with what we're seeing with our client base. That's easy peasy, guys. You can pop those like popcorn all day with us, right?
Yeah.
And we ascribe to the BRRR strategy with these, one of two
Yep.
different ways. If you're punching out enough active income in your job, then you can do two of these a year and refinance them and hold on to both. But when you do the first one and you refinance it, let, let's say you needed 120 grand total to buy the place, renovate it, right? That's a good safe number with contingency.
Yep.
If you refinance it, are you going to get your entire 120K back? Most of the time you're not. You'll get 80, 90,000 back. Well, if
Yep.
you've got another 30 grand you can pull, great, hold on to it, keep the rent going, buy the next one. But we have a lot of clients that do two a year, but the first one they resell. So they'll go from 120 up to 160. Then they'll do the next one, they'll refinance it, they'll get 120 back, their original money, but now they can keep that second house.
Yeah.
So they do two a year, they hold one a year. And I can tell you in about 5 to 7 years, you look back and you go, hey, I'm actually worth some money. This is great.
A large theme that we've been talking about on the channel, and you alluded to it during the stats section of this video, is just zooming out, right? Like real estate must be thought of on a larger time horizon. It
Oh,
can't always be thought of in a 6 month cycle, in a
oh,
6 month buy, flip,
oh, yeah.
try and get rich. Like it just cannot. And so strategies like this, where you employ
Yeah,
active income as well as your passive income, as well as the leverage that you seek from, going to the bank, refinancing, and achieving that sort of wealth building, it's all so much more lucrative on like 5 to 10 year scales
oh,
when you
yeah,
slowly and intentionally buy the right assets and do the right strategies to just increase your wealth bit by bit, right?
100,
These are
100%.
not get rich quick schemes. It's like, yeah, if you have to sell one to increase your capital a bit more so that you can hold the second,
Yeah.
fantastic, do that. But then hold that thing for 5 more years before you think about selling it or refinancing it or anything else.
So Steve Gerouge and I, so our team also is achieving independent wealth, right? As a real estate agent, that's why you join our team
Yep.
is to also invest yourself without getting in the way of your own client base and 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 building up your own wealth. So people that have been on the team now and have been investing for a long time. I was talking about this again with Steve Gerouge the other day. He's like, so, and Steve doesn't mind me saying this, but Steve lives in a really nice house now, right? Steve's got a Lamborghini. Steve was the first one in town to have the new Lotus, right? Steve's about to go on a 3-week vacation to Italy. And people look at that and look at our team and see the wealth that our team has, and they're like, and you'll get it. You'll get them sniping you once in a while. Oh, real estate sales must be really good. It's
Yeah.
like not that good. We take our
Yeah.
real estate, we take our active income, we invest it into real estate or passive income, and I'm very proud of my team because they don't just snipe the best deals off of the top and then give everything to everybody else. So
Yeah.
we've had people on this team, like with the ADUs, they'll only buy the ADUs when our client base has said no to it. And they
Yeah.
still know it's a good deal, and that's the one they buy because they're not getting anybody's way. So we've had people making $250,000 a year on this team just doing ADU flips, and literally their entire portfolio are rejected properties that no investor wanted to buy.
Yeah, I did the same thing with my company. When people wouldn't buy it,
Yeah.
and I was saying like this is a screaming deal, and
Yeah.
it would sit there, and for whatever reason, people didn't find it attractive. Like
Yeah.
those were some of the best deals I ever did.
The building I'm in right now, I've owned this since 2014,
Yeah,
and we were trying to sell it. Our client base would not buy it. And we're like, so me and another guy who was on the team at the time, and he's no longer on the team because now he's independently wealthy through real estate investment, which is great. That's the whole point. I
yep,
just want to make everybody, I make money making everybody money, right? Making
yep,
everybody independently wealthy, right? So that's how the team thinks. So my old teammate and I bought this place. I refinanced them out about 5 years ago, and we bought it. We bought it, we fixed it up, and Bob's your uncle. But I mean, this was just an excellent deal that nobody would take. You know, so we did. Yeah. So yeah, that's how we constitute a lot of our portfolios. So, but yeah, ADUs, guys, if you're looking, so like Adam's right. Like this is a marathon, not a sprint. That's the way we always say it.
yeah,
We always say this is a marathon, guys, not a sprint. If you want to jog a little faster on that marathon, then House Plus ADU is the easiest way to speed things up right now.
yep.
Is you're
I
getting these
agree with
equity
that.
bumps as you're doing the work, right? You're value adding, boom. You're value adding, boom. You're value adding, boom, right? Well, all those little booms on each property, they amount to a lot of money that also compounds, so it speeds everything up for you. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I say 5 to 7. If you're doing value add like this, 5 to 7 years, you'll start feeling like it was really worth it, right?
yeah,
And then you can start having a lot of fun. Like you might have about $2 million in equity by then in these properties. And that's very realistic, guys. I've been doing this for 21 years now.
yep,
And so you can get to a point in that 5 to 7 year span where you're now saying, hey, I can leverage a few of these properties and I can buy that plaza over there, right? I can buy that apartment building over there.
yep.
This is a fix and flip opportunity here. Um, I'm kind of surprised by the estimated profit on this. I'm going to take it with a grain of salt because, guys, usually something that size, your flips max out at about 50 to 70 grand, right? But maybe they got a diamond in the rough here. I'm talking about my teammates because they provided these. But yeah, I know this is sort of central Windsor, like downtown. 349 on an asking price. They obviously see a way to get the sales price up to 575. Rentals at 80,000. So they're coming out with an estimated profit of 145. It does happen. I've made over 100 grand on these sorts of flips before. But if that's the case, you jump all over that. Like inquire after the video.
Yeah, I mean, and again, think back to the stats slide, right? The concentration of sales between 500, well, between 400 and 700 were significant.
Yeah.
And that's where the bulk of the sales were around this 550 range. So again, if you just look at these numbers and as a viewer, you're like, I want to be conservative on it, and you only make 100 grand, well, dang, that
Yeah.
sucks. You only
What
made
they're
six figures.
what's probably happening here is there's probably a detached garage
Sure.
off of the alley. So they're probably thinking this is a house, but you add two additional dwelling units, one in the basement, one in the backyard garage. That's what I'm guessing. Yeah. And then this is just more of a turnkey. So you don't want to do any work. Asking price is 330. And this is the current rent. You don't need to change a darn thing. It's already
Oh,
rented.
nice.
Right. So these are like good, safe investments. This looks like it's central Windsor would be my guess. But yeah, this sort of stuff is available right now, guys. And it often isn't. Early 2022, I call it the stupids. Property
Yeah.
values went up 36% in 90 days between January 1st and March 31st. And I was literally telling the clients on
Do
video,
not.
and then my whole team was telling the clients, don't buy anything right now because this can't last.
Yeah,
And
it's a
sure enough,
bonfire.
it didn't come all the way down, but it came down heavily
Yeah.
and adjusted. It was just crazy, man. Yeah, that's the end of my story.
Fantastic, Rhys. Well, it definitely was interesting to catch up and see the numbers again. much like the rest of the province, obviously things are relatively flat right now. But there is a significant difference in Windsor than some of the other markets we've been updating on, and that
Yeah,
is you have relatively high sales volume still, and prices are still very achievable, right? Like it's still achievable there to walk into a property like you just showed us, purchase it, put 20% down or whatever, and be cash flowing. And I think that's a really important thing to talk about because
yeah,
again, as long as we're not concerned with like getting rich overnight and you're able to zoom out and look at a 5 to 10 year time horizon, you can
sure.
continue to invest in properties like that, have somebody pay down your mortgage, have positive cash flow, and you can continue to repeat that process over time to increase
Yeah,
your net worth to the point where you have significant retirement funds or a significant play funds at the end of the day. And I think
right.
a large problem with the crazies or the stupids from 21 and 22 is they just didn't get that, right? They saw like big numbers increasing
Yeah,
fast, and
yeah.
like
Well, you get
that's the
wholesale,
worst
right? You
thing.
get wholesale and make 30 grand, and yeah, those,
Well,
those are short. Those are short moments in time where you can actually do that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and those windows, if you can capitalize, I mean, sure, do it, but it just needs to be refactored, refocused about the things like you talked about, pre-approvals, right? Investments in the community, um, massive, massive, massive amounts of jobs that are very high skilled coming to the area. Like
yeah,
all of these indicators are so far beyond just like watching purchase price go up 10%, and you're like, oh God, I gotta buy now, or next week
yeah,
it's gonna
yeah,
be 10% more. It's like, no, just zoom out, man. And I appreciate you talked about it being flatlined for a little while. And the fact that that's not necessarily bad for investors, right? Like you want to be in a situation where there's a bunch of inventory on the market that you
Oh
can
man,
choose from. You
yeah.
want to pick your perfect property in the perfect area for the perfect investment strategy that fits you. So I really appreciate all your insight on that today,
Yeah,
Rhys.
thanks, man. Yeah, like if you're playing long game, guys, then if your property doesn't go up this year, or your property goes up 10% this year, or your property drops 5% this year, it's irrelevant. You're
It
talking
literally is
about
irrelevant.
1 year.
Yeah, it
All you
doesn't
need
matter.
to know is the Canadian historical average has been 5% a year, and the Great Depression is a divot, a little divot on it, and the global meltdown is a little divot on it, and it goes right back to a flat line. Every city outside of, I think, Vancouver and Toronto, and maybe Montreal, Vancouver and Toronto for sure, with the exception of those two big cities, everybody's been about 5% a year. Now, what's interesting is now we're seeing massive market corrections in Vancouver and Toronto, which we're not seeing in the mid-sized cities.
Yeah,
There's not enough data yet, but there's a good chance that those market corrections are reflective of what I'm saying. Is that the humans of Canada can afford about a 5% property appreciation per year without it
sure.
getting ridiculously out of hand.
Yep.
Yeah, the other thing too is if you're a young guy, you're in your early 20s, and you're renting with three buddies in Regent Park in Toronto, like consider moving down here.
Yeah.
We've
It
got
literally would be life changing.
we've got so many investors, young guys, and they are guys, but young guys that have moved down here and are now generating wealth with us. And I'm telling you, I don't see any of them going back. You can really sort of actually get into home ownership. I just did a CTV news story last week, and they asked me for one of the young guns to come on. And so I got them one of our clients, and it's great to hear. He's now 21, but he started buying House Plus ADUs with us at the age of 20, right? No excuses, man. Guy works at one of the larger tool and die factories in Windsor.
Yep.
He's not a rocket scientist, right? But
Yeah.
he's listening, he's learning, and he's following a system that we've already done for ourselves. He knows he doesn't have to
Yeah.
reinvent the wheel. But there's a lot of examples like that, guys. So it's like even if you don't move down here, I guess you can still invest down here with us. Just make sure you come down the 401 once every 3 to 6 months to make sure your assets are doing what they're supposed to be doing. But we've got the
Yep.
renovators, we've got the tradespeople, like the property managers, we've got them all. You don't necessarily have to be here. It's just if you're young you haven't put down big roots yet, you don't have kids yet, like consider coming down here. There's a reason why a lot of Miss Universes come from Windsor.
There you
You know,
go.
you're a single dude, come on down. Yeah, we got a lot of beauty down here. Yeah.
Love that. Well, thanks, Rhys. And if you guys are interested in hearing more from Rhys, check out the link below. We've got a link in the description to Rhys's YouTube channel where they do deeper dives into the actual Windsor market. And I'm sure they keep you updated as well with local news and everything that we can't possibly cover. So if you guys are looking for a power team in Windsor, Rhys is your guy. And Rhys, hopefully you see you back here soon on the channel. It was nice having you back here.
It's good to be back, man. Yeah, good to see you.
Love it.
Okay.